Hey everybody, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for my project life. This is week 28, so stick around. Hi friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. This is week 28 in Project Life. I pre-selected my cards and embellishments that I'm showing you right now, and it's a stash busting week for me because there's been a long hold on Ellie Edwards products, so I don't have the July or the June Stories by the Month kit, which is July based for us planners who plan ahead. So I pulled a whole bunch of cards and embellishments from Studio Calico. And there's a couple other things I mixed in that are not. Like I have chipboard stars that are from, actually no, those are from Studio Calico. The little red cardstock piece I used to cover up the text on this title card that I'm making is a leftover like inside piece of a frame from an Ellie Edwards die cut. And then I have these ancient alpha stickers from Studio Calico, and I picked all three colors because there's only certain letters left on them. That's kind of one of the only things I really dislike about alpha stickers is that I feel like they never give you enough to spell everything you want, and also, yeah, I don't know, they go quickly. So I'm going to use those throughout to add little titles to the photos here and there. You might hear some background noise. Just if you do, it's Nora. She's playing in her new junk journal on the floor. So just in case you hear some noises, that's what it is. I apologize for that. But, you know, she's got like a huge spread of media all around her. I'm not going to make her pick it all up and leave. So I figured you guys could handle it for 1 week's voiceover. All right, so I have these plastic fruit pieces from, I don't know what Studio Calico kit, but the colors matched, so I decided to pull them in. Also, I think it's kind of fun because all the cards are from different collections. I'm really just going based on color as usual, but I think it's kind of nice because then there's another theme that continues through each of like across both pages of the spread. So you have like the plastic fruit and these little smiley faces, the chipboard stars, and the alphas. Those are all kind of the continuing themes. So I'm going to just spell out, I just put W for week because I don't have a K, so it's week 28. And then there's a picture that Nora took of herself at her first day of summer camp. And I just wrote on the little label sticker, day 1 of girl summer for Nora. She had a rough night with anxiety, but had fun today. And I put like a little yay sticker and I stamped the date. And then on the middle row, there's a picture I took because the first day parents were allowed to drop off their girls and just kind of help them get acclimated for a little bit just in the morning. So she was able to meet up with her friend Olivia, and I took a picture of them. So on that picture I used O and N for Olivia and Nora. And then the Just the Best card in the middle is just a placeholder really, and I kept it really simple. I just used my tiny attacher to staple the plastic fruit pieces to the edges of the card, and then I put a smiley face. And then there's a picture of Toothless in my new bag. I used the alphas to spell out new bag. And then with my size 12 Pigma Micron, I wrote Toothless approved because he's just been sitting in it, which is so funny. I mean, if you've ever seen the bog bags, they're huge. So he easily fits in it. And he now thinks that it's his hiding place / play place. The last row is a big 4x6 picture. I made a grid with 4 photos, a series of photos of Nora inside the bog bag box. So the delivery box that came was huge, and she squished. She's like, I bet I can fit in it. I was like, no way. She totally did. And she tried to pull the lid shut, but while she was doing that, Toothless was like, wait a minute, this is my box. And he kept like basically trying to attack her while she was in it, and was curious, obviously, too. He was like, why are you in here, dude? What are you doing, humans person? So I have a series of pictures of that taking place, which is really funny. And then on the right, I just used the rainbow card, I guess, to journal about the week. So I used, again, the size 12 pen to write like larger title. And then I used the size 1 pen, which is like the total opposite as far as the nib size goes, to add details. So I talked about how on Sunday night I was up super late because Nora wouldn't sleep, but the benefit was that I was able to secure two of those Labubu things that she's like going crazy for. So those come in August, and she's been talking about it every day. So she's very excited. She spent her own money on it. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm just thankful I was able to get them because I know a lot of people had trouble. And in fact, the site crashed the second I got on. It wouldn't even let me. I'd already added them to cart and I was just going to check out, but it took me like 25 minutes. And at one point it kicked me out of the system entirely, like the app. And then out of nowhere, I was like, let me just see if I can get back in, because I was trying to log back in manually. It wouldn't let me for like 20 minutes. And then finally around minute 22, 23, it let me back in and I was able to check out completely. So it was crazy. I get it, but I don't. But anyways, so I journaled about that. I journaled about Prime Week with me adding everything to cart. I journaled about decluttering my pantry, which was a big project I worked on, and how I was listening to The Anxious Generation, and that book was a game changer for our family, and I believe that everybody should read the book. Everyone. It is about how social media and screens are raising our children, and that we are over-parenting, like in-person play, natural play, like social play, versus not parenting enough the virtual play and the videos and the screen time and all that good stuff. So it's really good. I highly recommend it. All right, so that is going to wrap up the left side of the spread, so I'll show you how it looks in real time. All right, while you're looking at that, Nora wants to say hi.
Hi.
She's in the background. Okay, so now on the right side of the spread, I have this big picture of our flower bed up against the side of our house, which is actually blooming with all the flowers this year, which is a first for us that we're very, very, very excited. And it's really exciting for us to like come out in the morning and see if there's any new ones and how many hydrangea blooms we've had. So I spelled out garden. And then I wrote on the label just a little bit about that and how it's the first year that we got the hydrangea to bloom. And it's so pretty because all the colors, like I didn't plant these were here when we moved in, but I've never been able to successfully have them come back all together and keep cutting them back so that they keep blooming. And I'm really happy with them. So of course I wanted to document that. And then there's another selfie of Nora and her new friend at camp. And I just put Hello Summer on there with a smiley face and part of the orange plastic piece. In the middle row, there's a picture I took of Nora and I. We were playing Uno, but she was holding the Uno cards with her toes, which was really funny. So I spelled out nice with the alphas, and then I wrote on the label, not Nora playing Uno with her feet, silly. And then underneath that, I actually have this little tag that I have left over from one of the Studio Calico kits. And I just stapled the plastic orange slice or grapefruit slice, whatever that is, to it. And I wrote a little bit more about Girl Summer and her anxiety about it, but how she's really like loved it and it's become her favorite, which is awesome. And so I just tucked that in behind the photo of Nora for extra journaling. And then this soak card is a soak in all the goodness this summer. And I covered up where it said favorite June memory with another one of those leftover die cut insert pieces from Allie Edwards. I just used that because the colors coordinated, and I checked off all the things on that card that we've already done this year. And then I just wrote so far, like on the top, because I don't have beach or picnic checked, but those two things will happen probably within the next couple weeks, actually. We're leaving to go to Michigan shortly. So those two things will get checked off then. But I wrote that we had the perfect typical summer break week. Nora started full day summer camp. I was productive working in my content and completed a big project. That was my pantry declutter. And Matt enjoyed a slightly slower morning pace. So just really loving the pace of summer this past week. And then the last row is a picture I took of Matt and Nora at Dutch Udder, which I talk about all the time because we frequent it very regularly in the summer. And then I used another one of those like red, orange, pink shaded block cards to do more journaling in the same way I did it on the left side so that it looked similar. And so I wrote about how we had a really rough night on Thursday. I got my new night guard and I talked about how sexy it was because it's really not. I had to go to the dentist and get a night guard so that I don't keep chipping my special tooth in the front that I've been talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about with my tooth saga, then you should definitely go back. I think I talk more about that in my my June Hobonichi flip through video in the daily pages. Yeah, so in case you're missing out on that story and you really need to know about my chipped tooth situation, then you can go listen to those videos. I talked about friendship bracelets and how Nora's recently gotten into making friendship bracelets and how fun that's been to do with her, and how we had a really fun weekend. We went and got sushi and then ice cream. Then we had a chill Saturday, but we all went grocery shopping and swam at our next door neighbor's house. And then Sunday, of course, was church. And then the quad picture I put on the bottom right corner, which is Nora getting her face painted at our friend's soccer game. It was a big, like, fun little cup they do every year, and we went last year and we went this year, and there's 4 different pictures from that event. And then I just wrote on that quad picture, "Congrats boys, Spindle City won 5-4. It was a fun family event." And that wraps up my photos and journaling for week 28. Alrighty, so that wraps up this week. It came together really quick. It was fun to be able to use my stash. Always a challenge, though, but I appreciate that from time to time. I am excited to get my Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kits, though. They're going to be coming together along with my Storyteller subscription. Here's a finished look at the right side of the spread in real time, and then I'm going to put it all together on screen for you so you can see it nice and laid out. There we go. All right, friends, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell, and don't forget that I will be back next week with another Project Life spread. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and remember that you are enough. See you next time. Bye.